Another week coming to an end in the markets, and crypto has been a bit of a snooze fest, unfortunately. However, we could see some increased volatility, and with that, some potential trade setups that I'm going to go through in this video, as well as going through the usual stuff of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the TradFi charts as well. So if you do enjoy our content, please do consider liking and subscribing. Helps us out massively, and we really do appreciate it. So let's go through the Bitcoin charts first. So as we spoke about on Monday, it was expecting a little bit of volatility potentially last night at the closing bell on Thursday, because we had the earnings from Coinbase, Amazon and Apple. But unfortunately, nothing really rocked the market too much. So we are stuck in a bit of a boring range. So if we quickly go through the higher time frame down to the lower time frames on BTC, we know that this 29.3k area is a key area of support and resistance. We're not too sure whether this is currently support or resistance at the moment. We technically closed just below it. So the candle closed at 29273, below 29.3. And as you can see, we've had a little spike above so far this month. We're obviously only a few days in, but we are trading below it and struggling to get back above it. So that could be an indicator that it is in fact resistance and not held support. On the weekly, again, we're just continuing this slow grind down, as we've talked about before, very similar to what we've seen throughout the year, where we get a big impulse, slow grind down, big impulse, slow grind down. As you can see, we've had that big impulse middle of June, and now we're having that slow grind down. So where to? Potentially 28k is what we've got marked out next on the daily time frame. So as you can see, we've closed below that 29.6 daily range low back on the 24th of July, and ever since it has been holding as resistance. We did get a daily close above on the beginning of the month on the 1st, but a quick spike to 30k and come back down. And as we talked about on Monday, we're now just stuck in this mini range between 29.6 and 29.1, which was the low on Tuesday the 25th. Had that big fake out short squeeze back on the 1st as well, but apart from that, just very boring sideways action. If we do get a daily close below 29.1, then I believe we will head down to 28k, and that's where I think that we will the possibility for some altcoin trades will present themselves, which I'll go through in a minute, unless of course we do break above 29.6, hold above it, and then go for a run. But I think downside is the more likely scenario, so we'll keep an eye on that clear level of support there at 28k. So let's see what happens in Ethereum. Same story that we've had all year. You know, we're above the monthly resistance of 1721. It's held as support in June, not touched it since. On the weekly, stuck in a range between 2012 and 1783, heading back down to support at 1783. And then on the daily, we broke support on this tiny range low at 1856. So we had the range between 1940 and 1856, broke below, bearish retest, and as I say, slowly heading down to 1783. So been a very boring asset to try and trade and read this year, Ethereum. And that's probably not going to change anytime soon. It's probably just going to copy whatever Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin starts to slowly bleed down to 28k, then we're probably going to see at least the weekly level of 1783 test it, and then possibly 1721. Again, this is nice confluence for our altcoin trades, which I'll go through in a second. So quickly, some TradFi stuff. The S&P hit resistance here at about 4,600. The swing high here from back in March and April of last year, and it's been on an absolute rampage ever since March. So probably not surprising to expect a pullback, and if it does pull back quite aggressively, that will likely bring down BTC. So we'll have to wait and see on that. As you can see, a bit of a red candle at the moment, due a pullback, because as I say, it's been on an absolute rampage since March. Not really, barely any pullback at all. So would not be surprised to see a decent pullback on the S&P. And then of course you've got the dollar looking quite bullish at the moment as well, with that strong monthly close. Big wick monthly close back above this level that we've not closed below since March of 2022, and then on the weekly time frame looking quite bullish. Probably going to at least come up and test this 103 area, these swing highs from July, maybe even come up and test this weekly level here at 105. So a bullish dollar and a bearish S&P is probably not a good look for BTC and Ethereum, etc. So expecting a pullback. Where can we expect to jump into some potential longs on altcoins? So on ADA here, you can see we've got this nice little weekly range. We've rejected off the mid-range, probably heading down to this weekly range low. If we go to the daily, we've got this nice daily level here at 26 cents. So you can see this 30 cents daily level was really strong support, broke below, bearish retest yesterday. I expect us to make our way down to 26 cents and either this daily level to hold as a nice area for a bounce, or if it does go down to this sort of 24-25 cents weekly range low area, which, as I say, would coincide with BTC heading down to 28k and Ethereum heading down to its weekly or monthly support. AVAX, very similar in a daily range. Expecting this to come down and test the daily range low at $12. Again, if that doesn't hold and we have like a bearish retest, then potentially these lows down here at $11, they look like a nice area for a bounce. BNB, again in a daily range, chopping around at the mid-range. I expect this to come down to the daily range low of 231. Good to offer a nice bounce. If not, break below, bearish retest and go even lower down to this weekly level down here, the weekly range low around 210, 209, something like that. All depends on how deep the retracement is on BTC and Ethereum. DOT, if we go to the daily time frame, looking at this level down here at $4.71, excuse me. If that fails to hold, bearish retest, come back down, and we'll probably test these wicks down here around $4.30ish, maybe even all the way back down to that monthly range low of $4. Again, all depends on where BTC retraces to. Matic on a higher time frame, looking down at 58 cents. The start of this leg of the move down here in June. So a clear level of higher time frame support there. Expecting a bounce off that. If you get a weekly close below, bearish retest probably heading down to 45 cents, which again would be a nice area for a bounce. On the daily, you've got a nice level here at 61 cents. And again, you've got that confluence with the 58 cents weekly level as well. So in and around this area, probably a nice area to average an entry and look for that bounce. NIA, it's been chopping around in this range for quite a while. As you can see, daily range high at $1.49, mid-range at $1.40, range low at $1.31. Had several bounces off this now, so I wouldn't necessarily trust this as a support. I would quite like to wait for it to hit the weekly range low at $1.25. I think that would be a nice area for at least a bounce. And then if it loses that weekly range low, bearish retest and head down to 94 cents. VeChain sat right on a nice daily range low level here. However, I wouldn't trust it just yet. You know, BTC and Ethereum got a little way to go to find some support. So if we do see more downside, then VeChain will certainly follow. Probably looking at a level down here at, what's that, 0.016. So if we lose this level, daily close below, you can jump in on bearish retest, short down to 0.016, and then that could be a nice level for a bounce. If not, the monthly range low itself, we quickly go to the higher time frame. You can see that was the start of this leg of the move back at the beginning of the year. Huge impulse. So again, nice level of support. And if that gets lost, then you're probably looking all the way down here at less than a cent. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of price action to happen before that. And then finally, ZIL. We go start with a higher time frame. Again, we've struggled to get over this weekly level at 0.02. Many rejections there, heading back down, maybe all the way down to the monthly level 0.016. But on a shorter time scale, on the daily, you can see we're chopping around at the mid-range, hopefully heading down to this daily range low at 0.018. Nice area for a bounce there, again, depending on how price coincides with hitting this level and where BTC and Ethereum are at the time. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of pullbacks. I think we're going to see more downside from BTC and Ethereum. BTC down to around 28k, Ethereum down to either 1783 and or 1721. And then depending where the altcoins sit once that happens, then if they're sat on some nice levels of support, as I've just highlighted, daily range lows or higher time frame support, then they could be good for a bounce. Hopefully that's what plays out next week. Hopefully it doesn't play out over the weekend, because I personally don't like trading over the weekends, and weekend moves can be very trappy. Don't trust weekend moves. So hopefully that's what plays out next week. Of course, I'll be back on Monday to show you or let you know everything you need to know for the upcoming week. And of course, we'll have another look at these altcoin trade setups and see how they're looking. So have a good weekend. Try and stay off the charts. They're normally pretty boring. the market will always be there on Monday morning to come back to. So have a good weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday.